AskReddit. What is the worst thing you have done to have sex? My best friend was dating this psychopath who cheated on her multiple times before she dumped him. A few weeks later, he kept trying to get back with her. She turned him down every time. So instead, he asked if they could have one last night of passion, exact words, together to get over her, and he would leave her alone. She jokingly told him, yeah, if you tattoo my name on your ass. He did. Showed her the next day. Did he get his night of passion? No. My friend, who was visiting from New Zealand, and I met two girls in Chicago at a late night bar. I faked a New Zealand accent, and we pretended to be cousins. Girls loved it. We went our separate ways that night and I continued the accent into the morning. Edit. I should add that the next day my friend was laughing at how bad my accent was and how it sounded Australian. Also at one point the girls started to catch on and asked, you guys sound a little different. My buddy made the save and said he was from the coast and I was from the inland. Never questioned it again. Edit 2. Just so this is not left as a cliffhanger, we talked for like 10 minutes in the morning. Then I left like a bat out of hell. Never saw or talked to her again. No regrets. Yeah, I've got a couple of these. I told an American girl I was related to royalty and she lapped it up. I had been seeing a girl who had some pretty intense jealousy issues and we'd broken it off. One night when I was bored I texted her telling her about how I was out with my friends and an old FWB was in the bar with us. After a few back and forths she asked me to come round on my way home. I'd been in my living room watching The Office with my flatmate the whole time. A girl was convinced I was in a gay relationship with my friend. I'll let her think that I was because I found her quite annoying. At the end of the night I let her turn me, then used my homosexuality as an excuse to never have to actually date her. I'm a terrible person. I once had a duck buddy that clearly was in love with me. She was overly attached and was getting very fussy, so I suddenly chose to ignore all her phone calls and SMS to get rid of her. She clearly was upset, as I could understand from her last SMS, which told me what a douchebag I was, etc. A few months passed by with no contact, and one time, while being drunk I wanted to get laid. I messaged this girl and asked her to come over. She then asked me what the duck I wanted and why I had been ignoring her. I then told her, out of pure horny, that my dad died when I broke contact with her, and the reason to the ignore was because I was in a deep depression and could not talk to anyone. She came right over and I ducked the shit out of her. After that one time I went to ignore again, never spoke to her since. I feel bad. I invited a guy I was dating over to watch a movie, even though I knew the file was corrupted and the movie wouldn't play properly. So you'd think we had sex. No, because the guy was a mother ducking engineer and he proceeded to download and install the latest version of VLC player, then a good version of the movie, until he got everything right. We watched the movie, then he went home. Duck. Not sex, but anyways, I was at the courthouse with my ex getting the divorce finalized. I picked her up, so we go for lunch as the court had lunch break, and we're in the car talking, and I start sweet talking her, saying you never know, 10 years down the road blah blah. She leans over, starts full out making out with me. It led to me going down on her in the car and a fantastic BJ where she got cum on her fancy blouse and pants, only to have to go back in the courthouse to sign the papers to end it all. I wish I could say I felt bad, but I have no soul, and she put me through hell. Some guy at a party was telling everyone that I was giving out ecstasy with cyclobenzaprine, so this girl comes up and asks if she can have a pill. I glad oblige, and she grabs my hand and drags me to the beer pong table, and after about 20 minutes she said she felt it kicking and dragged me off into the wild pink yonder. She also ended up sucking my buddy off in her car, so there's that. There was this girl who was pretty into me, but I wasn't really into her. I acted like I was interested in her to get into her pants. That's pretty bad to begin with, but it gets a little worse. So this girl is really into anime ambition and looking dudes, and I guess I fit the build. I'm pretty slender and have long hair for a guy. As a side effect of her liking this kind of guy, she's also into guys cross-dressing. Anyway, I had been sleeping with her for a while, and I really wanted a blowjob, so we were kind of hanging out, and I mentioned that I wanted one, and she said that she didn't like giving them. I asked what I could possibly do to get one, and she told me that she always wanted to dress a guy up like a girl. So I let her. Shaved my body hair, wore a dress and everything. Turns out people who don't like giving blowjobs aren't good at giving them. 3 out of 10 would not cross-dress again. I've never done anything terrible or manipulative, but when I was 16 I did use a cheesy pickup line that actually worked. It was awful, but doesn't matter. Had sex. I was out with a friend I had a crush on, and apparently she had felt the same way, but we're awkward teenagers and not sure how to handle it. Cloudy night, and she was grumbling about how the night sky was ugly. I told her it looks like this because all the stars ended up in your eyes, and it was on. Went to a bar with my buddy, trying to break a dry spell. I start chatting with this girl and bought her a drink. Yada yada yada. She's into me and lives a few blocks always, but she's with her not so attractive, slightly plus-sized friend that is trying to break a dry spell as well. So basically this chick is telling me that if I want her, my buddy has to hook up with her friend. So it's 10 minutes of me begging my buddy to take one for the team and offering him whatever I can. Like a true bro, he eventually agrees. We go back to their place, get to sexy time, and eventually make our way home. My buddy says it was the worst sex he ever had, and the worst part was her large Mickey Mouse tattoo on her stomach. As he was pounding her, the fat-filled tissue with a mug of his favorite childhood Disney character was jiggling around like a jello mold. I've owed him many a favors since that night. Doesn't matter. Had sex. Throwaway. So I had a fairly long relationship with a girl, about a year or more. Lots of ups and downs. Eventually I got cheated on. We broke up, but she kept trying to keep in contact. Got back together. Yes, it was a mistake. Then I learned about other cheating that happened before and broke it off again. So then she keeps trying to keep in contact, annoying me, showing up uninvited to parties. She's also managed to get in good with people I know. But anyway, by this time I've been single for a while and was out drinking. She was not of drinking age. Being drunk, dumb and horny, I texted her that I missed her. She shows up at the bar. I assume because she asked one of my friends where I was. So end up at my friend's house, go up to his video game room and proceed to put it in her butt. Next day she got all clingy, had breakfast with her and dropped her off at her place, and then proceeded to ignore her except for telling her that I'm not interested in anything else happening. I felt a little bad, but I got closure, revenge, whatever you want to call it. A guy I knew from college took a girl on a late dinner date. She parked her car at his house and he drove to dinner. While at dinner, he called and had her car towed so that she was forced to spend the night. Stay classy. Paid. Well, not entirely on topic, but I once had sex with a girl so I could play on her piano afterwards. That's the worst thing I've done to play piano.